We have a state at which is the authentic self, and 9 times out of 10 we're not showing up in that fashion. And I find it hard to believe that we're enjoying it.
I'm free from living lies. Free from
My name is Zach Sala. I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a friend, I'm an entrepreneur, a writer, a speaker. Those are my roles. Let me tell you a little bit about my heart. My agenda is to create tools, to create a path for those around me, those in the world, to learn how to love themselves well and how that shows up in their life. So we're creating just a storyline of pain and victories of what it looks like to look inward and how that shines on life, how that reflects, so to speak, the creation of the lens that we carry. And the reality is that this whole thing is a message. And in order to deliver a message, you've got to hear some ideas that are applicable to people's lives. For the record, we were just shooting next to a trash can, and it's freaking beautiful.
So you know how, Jack, we were talking yesterday about preconditioning ourselves, like based on our circumstances? Last night at the bar, we were talking about this. It was really good. Just about Jack's work and stuff and my life, but I grew up watching messes around me with my siblings and my parents, and there was like this unspoken message of like, lay low, don't put your head up, don't make a mess, don't overachieve, because then you'll make this one look bad or something of that nature. And it's funny, like even as simple as like the high school, what do they call it, the talent show, I remember just not wanting to be seen. And I grew up, I was playing the guitar, I was playing the drums, I was learning how to sing, and it would have been a great risk to take, you know, but growing up with that paradigm of not wanting to put my head up, so to speak, in a fast vehicle out of fear of what might hit you in the face. Something my dad constantly said to me was, learn from your siblings' mistakes that are older than you. And it was almost like this like blinder came on of just don't screw up. Just don't screw up, no matter the cost. Like don't screw up, don't take risks, none of that. So the reason I bring up all that is because like, what you and I were talking about last night, when we're conditioned without realizing it, when we're looking for not even just anything outside of connection, almost like that bird looking to mom or dad like, hey, can I jump out of the nest? And instead of like getting behind us and like cheering us on out of survival themselves, they look at us and they say like, hey, be careful, like, you know, be back by 7, whatever it is. Give us these parameters of what to be afraid of without realizing it, showing us that we're not enough.
One of the things that I keep coming back to is the reason why we do what we do. It's based out of who we are. Our belief system shows up in every facet of life, whether if you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or if you're a parent, if you're just a friend, if you're in a relationship, or if you have friends in your life, your stuff is going to show up across the board. And if you want to have fulfillment and enjoy the environment that you're creating for yourself, then you're gonna wanna be the best you. And I think what we're here to talk about is how that happens, how to genuinely present your heart in the authentic fashion of who you are without a bunch of chauvinistic bullshit. So at the end of the day, we wanna teach people how to present themselves in their most authentic way, as cliche as that is. You know, you hear the term authentic food or authentic Mexican cuisine, and it's like, no, this is really what they make in Mexico, you know? We have a state at which is the authentic self, and 9 times out of 10 we're not showing up in that fashion. And I find it hard to believe that we're enjoying it. So I just want to give people a chance to not only tap out of the BS and say like, hey, I'm out, house of cards, I'm done, but to create. We're designed to create. You're designed to create. I'm designed to create. He's here to create. And we can't do that if our hands are full and burned and wounded. We have a term between us called relational equity. And what that means for us might be 2 different things. But for me, what that means is Brandon's been a person in my inner circle. We share the same values, not to be mixed up with morals. Our shared value is of, and correct me if I'm wrong, or you can speak your heart, that is of a growth mentality and one of authentic communication, meaning I'm showing up fully present, and I'm willing for you to see me in my weakness or even in my strength. Speak truth over me, love me well, or to just be who you are. So this whole thing about relational equity is really, in a sense, an account that never gets depleted as far as like a negative balance. I don't know if you guys have ever had overdraft charges, but they suck. And the thing about a relationship is when you're giving out of a full cup, it's always bonus. It's always the ability to hold space for someone. And you've shown the hell up for me. We've carried each other's hearts through a lot of beautiful and a lot of painful seasons and moments. I can remember several phone calls that will continue to be a tattoo on my heart, that have just really cultivated the meaning that you carry in my life. So anything you want to share on relational equity, I would love for people to hear your verbiage, your language around that.
I love that you use the analogy of like an account, and we can talk about not wanting to withdraw anything, but there's actually the way to build relational equity is to deposit in that constantly, depositing trust, depositing honesty, depositing like your real self and seeing and calling out goodness in someone. So I think you and I have had that shared value of saying, I'm going to speak the truth to you, and even if it's not popular, and even if you don't want to hear it,
right? It's
spoken in love. It's spoken because I have you've proven to me you've got my best interest at heart. I've proven to you you've got your best interest at heart. So you might not even agree with what I'm saying, and you might not even act on it, and it's okay. But I'm going to continue to deposit in that account, like you can trust me. And I think that's
good.
That's built in those moments when there is conflict, and you go, well, who else is standing here?
Right.
And you look around, and everybody else has turned around and ran. Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, here's this guy in the foxhole with me, holding me, sitting on the couch, weeping with me. Those kinds of moments. That's how you build those accounts. And honestly, I would love to think that you can cultivate those kinds of relationships with everybody, but everybody has different levels of relational equity in your life. And it's almost like I see it like concentric circles. There's like, you've got those few that have like built and deposited massive trust, massive honesty, massive love. They've seen you, accepted you as you are. They've not judged you. They've said, hey, it doesn't matter if you run off the cliff, I'm going to be down there at the bottom to pull you out of the wreckage, that kind of thing. And we had that moment years ago where we're like in this conflict of like, man, I don't know about this. I don't know how to stand and what do I say? Because, my moral says this, your moral says this. My values, though, are going to trump that to say, no, I'm going to stand with you no matter what.
Yeah.
And so, there's those moments where there's different people in my life that have continued to deposit. There's others that have continued to take withdrawals out of that. And I'm like, wow, I've now moved you on that next circle out or that next circle out. And it's not to say you can't come back in, but there's these levels you've got to like work through to like re-earn trust, So yeah, I think relational equity is trust, it's honesty, it's being able to confide in someone and say like, this guy's got me, he sees me, he's calling out greatness in me. That's huge.
Yeah, I think something that you said that stuck was, I see you and I accept you just as you are, not with agenda, not so that I can change you or maybe put you in the shape that I want to see you be, but knowing someone in their values and how they want to show up in life, and always pushing them back towards the mirror of looking themselves in the mirror and saying like, who are you?
I think it comes down to like, we talk a lot about managing expectations. If someone says to me, my core values are this, this, and this, it's like, that's cool. If that's your value and you have me in your life, then by default, you're inviting me in to hold you to those values.
Yeah.
If I see you stepping outside of that value set, then that's when it's like hey, love you, man, but what are you doing here?
Yeah.
What's happening? That doesn't align with what you said your values are. And having people in your life that can do that, I've cultivated relationships over the years with so many people that I've given permission to say, no, if you're in my life, you have permission to speak in this. This is what I'm about. This is the kind of man I want to be. when I'm in an integrity, this is how I should be acting. So if you see me outside of that, you have permission, to slap me around a little bit, to call me back to that. Different guys have done that in different ways in my life, but it starts with permission. It starts with opening that account, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's a massive point of like not hiding. Like it's the antithesis. It's the exact pure opposite of running and jumping into another friendship, if you will, just because it's no longer convenient or because someone's saying something that I don't like. Yeah. You and I have had many a conversation where we're like, we'll agree to disagree, or we'll leave that be because it doesn't threaten our identity or our values as friends, as brothers. But I think there's something to be said about people that are willing to show up because they've seen themselves fully and begun that journey of self-acceptance and really looking into the mirror and perceiving who they are at their core. Yeah. Because if I can't show up in that fashion for myself, brother, I'm not going to be of any help to you. Yeah. So, in order to carry one another's hearts well, we've got to be willing to carry ourselves first. Yeah. I think that's really, at the end of the day, relational equity. Yeah. It's good.
Boom, Shaka.
There's a parable of an old man. A young man comes to him and he says, I want to know, I forget what he was asking for, but I want to know what it's going to take to be successful. I want to know what it's going to take to make it. He says, okay, come with me. And he takes him into a river. And he says, I want you to hold your breath. Go underwater. He says, okay, holds his breath. The young man goes underwater and the old man sticks his hand on his head. And the young man strives to come up and the old man doesn't let him. And he struggles and he struggles. And 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, and he lets the boy come up. And he says, what are you doing? Why did you do that? Why did you hold me underwater? And he says, when you're desperate enough to learn, to grow, to have what you want, as you were for that oxygen, you'll have it. If people want breakthrough, they will seek resources to have it. Thank you. You know what I mean? We are exactly where we're at because we've chosen to be there. It's a saying, wherever you go, there you are. You're right where you want to be. You're right where you've decided this is what I deserve. This is what is good for me. And that's all based on a bunch of bullshit. We won't even get into that. If people were to legitimately lean in, instead of looking around blaming circumstances, if they would be desperate for growth and seek out alternative vehicle after vehicle for their growth, for their embetterment, they would have it.